Today I'm going to read some Reddit stories to hopefully motivate some people to keep on pushing with their language learning. And if you have any stories of your own, please comment them down below and maybe I'll use them in a future video. The first story actually comes from a comment on one of my previous videos by FitProVR. Year 3+ of Chinese. I work as a PE teacher at a school in Chinatown of a major metro area. So we have a lot of EELs, which stands for English Language Learners. My experience is quite the opposite. No matter how good I get, the kids will tell me how bad my Chinese is, paired with all of the adults telling me how amazing my Chinese is. Sometimes my head is spinning from all the different feedback. I leverage this for learning though, and make sure I have a small conversation with a student in Chinese once per day. It's helpful and they all know 老师听起来有病的美国人, which means the teacher sounds like a sick American. All other teachers who have attempted to learn have quit within the first week because of how negative the feedback is and how much the kids laugh at your accent. It's brutal. Leave it to the kids to mess with you. I can imagine how hard it is to control a class in a second language, especially when it's as difficult as Chinese. If all the other teachers had left, I'd imagine the kids are just trying to see how much they can get away with. So good on you for sticking to it. Now onto the Reddit stories. I live in Spain, and my favorite story to tell language learners is about my friend Paco. Paco is 64 now, but I met him about 4 years ago, and he had just started learning English. I met him at a language exchange, and he was a pain in the butt, but he really wanted to practice. But he only knew about 3 words, so we would get this complete crash halt in conversation while he went, I am happy. So COVID happened and the language exchange moved online. I was teaching online at the time and the thought of more Zoom made my head hurt. So I stopped going. COVID came and COVID went. And when the language exchange started again in person about 2 years later, imagine my surprise at meeting Paco again and discovering that he had vastly improved. He could get 4 or 5 sentences out before running out of steam, and his vocabulary was way better. I was shocked and very impressed. He said that he basically spent all of his time reading books in English and listening to things to try and help. Now, Paco had a lot of downtime, so he could put in as much effort as he wanted, which isn't realistic for everyone. He isn't fluent yet, but I don't think there's anything stopping him. He also isn't moving to England or anything to immerse himself, but he wants to get better and wants to learn, and so he does. As long as you work on that basis, that you want to do it and you are determined to do it, you will get better. Be patient with yourself. This is a great story. Obviously, during COVID, a lot of people had a lot more free time than they used to have, and that was a time where language learning was booming. But now, even if you're super busy, as long as you just spend time with the language, you will get better. When it comes down to it, language learning is very simple. The only thing you really have to do is just spend time in the language. And now the next story. I am well over 50, and despite having many years of French in public school, I could never get past the stage of being able to order in a restaurant or ask for directions. I couldn't understand spoken French at all. Note that this wasn't French immersion. This was just having French classes like it was math or something. In 2019, I started to study French for a planned trip to Quebec. This didn't happen because of COVID. During that first year, I studied with the Simil book and then started using italki. With the pandemic, I didn't have much else to do, so I just kept studying. Here I am over 4 years later as an upper intermediate. At this point, I could understand native speakers, go into a conversation cold, and get by. Sure, I'm making errors and pause, but people understand me and it's fun. I can watch movies and series and read French graphic novels for pleasure. I don't have a particular talent for learning languages. In fact, it takes me longer than most people to improve. But that isn't the point. The point is that I am improving and have found a hobby and some new friends. You know, this is one of those stories that I feel like I hear all the time, but I never get tired of it. Because you have people, so many people, who go through public schools and aren't able to learn anything. But once they take it upon themselves to just study the language, they're able to go far. They're able to progress because language learning is very simple. It does take time, but as long as you put in the effort, you will get results. It doesn't matter how good you are at language learning. Like the person in the story said, he probably learns languages slower than most people. I'm not brilliant at learning languages either. I just spend the time. And if you spend the time, you will progress. I actually progressed so much that when I went to live in Japan, I actually had a Japanese person think I was born and raised in Japan, even though I'm a Puerto Rican born in America and I do not look Japanese at all. So if you want to hear the story of how I went from failing to learn Spanish to being mistaken as a native Japanese speaker, then go watch this video on the screen right now. I'll see you over there.